Mitch and Jack, best friends, are driving on a nameless road in the middle of nowhere at night. Both seem bloodied and in a state of panic. On the way, in the morning, Mitch looks at a photograph of his daughter Catherine before spotting a floating creature in the distance. Although the sight of the malicious-looking creature frightens Mitch, he doesn't mention it to Jack. Soon after, they arrive at a gas station where Sutter works as a cashier. Upon entering, she gives the men an intimidating look as they take refuge in the small space. Jack refreshes himself in the bathroom, his body covered in scars and deep wounds. He doesn't notice the skeletal creature behind him, allowing it to grab him from behind and quickly pull him away. Mitch waits patiently for his friend in the dining area while Sutter keeps her eyes fixed on him. Suddenly, an earthquake occurs, but no one else inside the station notices anything. When Mitch looks out the window, the mysterious creature is still waiting outside. Jack survives the attack and runs out with his friend. Provocatively, Sutter tells them to come back anytime as they leave. They both leave the station and get back on the road to get as far away as possible. After some time driving, strangely, they return to the same gas station again. They seem to be going in circles, repeatedly coming back to the station. Another problem arises as more skeletal creatures appear along the road. Mitch loses his patience and gets out of the car, completely desperate about the situation. Determined to escape, Jack follows Mitch and reminds him of the purpose of their journey, which is to save Catherine. After arguing, Mitch decides to go on foot while Jack returns to the car, with two creatures watching them. When Jack gets in, one of the beings quickly flies to the car and drags him out. In seconds, the creature kills Jack through his mouth and leaves once he dies. Before taking one last look at his friend, Mitch follows the creature, believing it to be his destiny. The creature leads him to a nearby motel and to room 6225. Upon entering, Mitch sees traces of blood on the wall, but the sight doesn't deter him from exploring the place. Mitch feels a sense of confusion as the interior looks very familiar, similar to his home. He examines other corners of the room and hears a girl calling him Dad. Then an apparition of Catherine appears from behind but runs as Mitch tries to approach her. He chases her through the house but to no avail. Catherine continues to plead with Mitch to help her, but her cries become muffled. The whole situation torments Mitch, trapping him in the house's seemingly endless corridors. Meanwhile, in the next room, three girls named Sadie, Kim and Ava, who are part of a rock band, prepare for their next show and hit the road. During their trip, they stop at famous landmarks to take pictures and have some fun. When they're back on the road, out of nowhere, one of the tires bursts, forcing them to stop on the road as they don't have a spare tire. They try to contact friends for help, but none are available at the moment. Even the phone's GPS fails to detect their location, leaving them in an even more difficult situation. Despite this, Kim remains in good spirits and suggests they share a drink while waiting for help. After hours stranded on the road, a car finally passes by. Inside is a friendly couple, Dale and Betty, who offer them a ride. Sadie politely declines and informs the couple that they are used to sleeping in their van. However, Dale and Betty insist on not leaving them there, offering to let them stay at their house until the next day. Despite their friendly appearance, the girls sense a different vibe and decide to refuse the offer. As the couple drives away, Kim changes her mind and yells for them to stop, telling her friends that this is their best chance of getting help. Along the way, the group of friends and the strange couple get to know each other better. While in the back seat, Sadie spots a bear trap and asks about it. According to Dale, they keep it there for coyotes and have oddly lived in the same place since World War II. Despite these strange bits of information, the girls don't give much credit and just continue. Finally, they arrive at the couple's house, and the girls are warmly welcomed. Betty even takes them to a nice room where they can stay as long as they want. Before Betty leaves them alone, Sadie hears her mention the name of her late friend, band partner, Alex, which she finds very strange, as they hadn't mentioned her name at all. However, neither Kim nor Ava seem to have heard what the woman said as they look around the room. Sadie raises her concerns about staying in the house, but the other two persuade her to relax and have fun. Later that night, the Kensingtons, Raymond, Bunny, and their twin children come for dinner. Before the meal, they join in prayer, but when Ava says amen, the family looks at her with disgust, as apparently, they were not praying to God. They are served a weird burnt meat roast at the table, but Sadie, being a vegetarian, politely refuses. After dinner, Ava prepares for a hot bath and mysteriously, a shadow passes behind her in the window. However, she doesn't notice anything. Sadie finds a pocket knife in a drawer in the room, but then puts it away. She expresses her thoughts about feeling uncomfortable in the house and that they should be on the road to get to their show on time. Not long after, Kim starts blaming Sadie for the death of their friend Alex. While explaining how she didn't leave Alex on the night of her death, Kim starts vomiting a black substance, just as Ava does in the bathroom. Shocked by the sight, she runs to the living room for help, but the families don't seem disturbed by it. Smiling, Bunny says that the first time is always the worst. Dale finally stands up to serve a glass of white liquid medicine, which he lets Ava and Kim drink. The two then drink the liquid in sync. Both act strangely as time passes, refusing to leave the house or the overly friendly couple. Despite Sadie's pleas, they remain indifferent, causing her to go to the bathroom. Inside, she looks at old photos of the band and cries over Alex's death. Moments later, she returns to the room where she sees the twins standing at the window a little further ahead. Immediately, Sadie closes the window and protects herself with the pocket knife she found earlier. She sits next to the bed and eventually falls asleep. Sadie dreams of Alex asking her why she left her before being killed in a car accident. When Sadie wakes up, Ava and Kim are no longer in bed. She looks out the window and sees her friends following the two families around a bonfire while participating in a satanic ritual. As they chant, Betty, Dale, Bunny, and Raymond cut themselves and use their blood to draw a symbol on the girls' foreheads. After a triangular symbol is drawn on them, Ava and Kim's eyes subtly transform, just like the others. While watching the ritual up close in a bush, Sadie's foot gets caught in the bear trap from before, causing her to let out a muffled scream by hand. The noise catches everyone's attention, and her friends walk toward her. Ava and Kim crouch and approach her in a creepy manner, but Sadie manages to prevent them from getting closer. She frees herself from the trap and takes refuge in a small shed. Shortly after, Alex's ghost emerges from the shadows to scare Sadie. Frightened, she runs back to the road hoping that some help will eventually appear. Meanwhile, a man named Lucas drives down the road while talking on the phone with his wife, Claire. He keeps looking at photos of Claire, which causes a major distraction on the road. Because of this, Lucas accidentally runs over Sadie, who was asking for help. Still in shock, he decides to get out of the car and sees Sadie still alive but in agony. Lucas calls 911 for help but can't tell the operator where he is. Not even his cell phone can detect the location using GPS, so the operator connects him to the emergency medical service. Within seconds, a certified paramedic gets on the line to help Lucas. She asks him to describe Sadie's current condition and take her to the nearest town. He obeys her orders and rushes off with Sadie. After the long stretch of nameless road, he arrives at a local hospital in the heart of the town. Lucas carries Sadie's body inside the facility and realizes the hospital is completely abandoned. He continues to communicate with the paramedic on the phone, who is completely useless at the moment. Lucas checks the rooms for any sign of help, but to no avail. After several empty rooms, he finally reaches an operating room where he can lay Sadie down. Suddenly, her right knee ruptures and falls from her upper leg. Already in desperation and not knowing what to do, Lucas hears the paramedic instructing him to intubate Sadie. At this point, Sadie continues to writhe as her body loses more and more blood. Finding the intubation kit, he inserts the tube through Sadie's bloody mouth, struggling to find the correct position. Suddenly, a third voice replaces the paramedics and claims to be a professional surgeon. The voice makes Lucas place his hand inside the poor girl's body to manually compress her lungs and keep her breathing. Afterward, the voice instructs him to make an incision just below her rib cage, which he follows out of desperation. Lucas reaches the side of one of her lungs through the incision and compresses it, instantly killing Sadie. Then through his earbuds, Lucas hears the voices laughing at him and quickly hangs up. He leaves the operating room but realizes he is trapped as all the doors are now locked. Realizing he was tricked into killing Sadie, he sits in the corridor of the abandoned building. When he returns to get his phone, Claire calls him, and to his surprise, it is not her who answers. The supposed previous health agents persuade him to talk about the accident, but he says he doesn't deserve this and that it wasn't his fault. Strangely, they agree and say he can leave the hospital. Moreover, they provide Lucas access to new clothes and even a new car, so it appears nothing happened. He leaves hesitantly, but the agents assure him he has nothing to worry about. Lucas drives off after hanging up, and a woman named Sandy, who is actually the paramedic, does the same. After saying goodbye to Lucas on the phone, Sandy goes to a nearby bar called Trap. The old, abandoned bar is occupied by regular patrons, including Warren and the bartender, Al. While Sandy orders a drink, Al scolds her for leaving the door open, causing an argument. Warren sides with Al, but before they can close the door, a man named Danny bursts into the bar with a shotgun, looking for his sister, Jessie. He holds Warren at gunpoint while showing the photo of his sister to him and then to the others there, but it's useless. While Danny questions Al about his tattoo, Warren appears to be a demon and transforms his hand. He strikes Danny from behind, causing a large wound on his back. However, Danny manages to take Warren down and shoots off his demonic hand, making him scream bizarrely. For the last time, Danny asks the patrons if they know where Jessie is, and Al responds affirmatively. This makes Danny take him hostage and force him to drive down the long road. They arrive at the back door of an ice cream shop, where Al claims Jessie is located. They enter through the secret door and see several men in line. Al then takes Danny to a room where he sees Jessie tattooing a client's back. The siblings reunite and hug for the first time in 13 years. While they embrace, Al hits Danny in the knee, causing him to fall to the ground. The injured Danny begs Jessie to come home with him, but she refuses. According to her, she is there by choice. In a fit of rage, Danny shoots Al, causing him to scream demonically before Danny finishes him off. He takes his sister and drives down the dark road while the locals, who are all demons, pursue them. Jessie pleads with her older brother not to leave the road, but he doesn't listen, determined to get out of the place. The car rocks violently for a while before Danny decides to stop for a moment. Jessie reveals that she deserves to live in that horrible place because she killed their parents. Her words leave Danny perplexed, and soon, demons appear and drag him out of the car. With no intention of helping, Jessie leaves him behind and returns to the ice cream shop. She meets a rather friendly girl named Jem, who has just come out of the bathroom. Jessie is rude to Jem, who soon meets her parents, Kate and Daryl, again. Jem has a few days before leaving for her college life, hence the road trip to the vacation home. From afar, someone watches them get into the car and drive away. The family eventually arrives at the place and sees a nice habitable space. While Jem unpacks her bags, Kate and Daryl prepare dinner in the kitchen. She overhears her parents talking about her going to college and whether she is really ready. When suddenly, they hear knocks on the door and other corners of the house out of nowhere, but no one seems to be there. The three begin to feel insecure and uncomfortable, so Daryl instructs his wife to call the police. When he looks outside, he sees a masked man standing in front of their house. When Daryl checks again, the man appears closer, which scares him even more. The man knocks repeatedly in a more aggressive manner, so they decide to find an alternative exit. They pass through a glass door but return when two men block their way out. Inside the house, the lights go out, and the shadows of the intruders are seen through the door. They break into the house, so Kate, Daryl, and Jem involuntarily separate. Kate and Daryl hide behind a table but are caught and knocked out by the masked men. On the other hand, Jem hides safely inside a closet and remains unnoticed. Back in the living room, the men confront Daryl, making him realize he knows who they are. One of them whispers to Kate what her husband did, and she is stunned by Daryl's secret. He repeatedly apologizes to Kate, who is now being gagged mercilessly. Unfortunately, Kate is killed in front of Daryl. While he mourns, the car's lights and horn come on, catching his attention. One of them goes out to check but sees no one inside the car. When he returns to the house, Jem stabs him in the back and then knocks him out with a baseball bat. The two men confront her outside and order her to leave the place and go away. Jem then runs away alone while the men kill Daryl. In his last breath, they force him to look at the photograph of Catherine and unmask themselves, revealing they are actually Mitch and Jack. As Jem leaves the house, she attacks the assailants with a bat, fighting for what they did to her parents. Jack chases her inside the house, but she manages to hit him with a wine opener. She takes a look at her parents' bodies before escaping, but Mitch kills her in the process. For a moment, everything goes quiet, but not for long. A tentacled creature emerges from Jem and her parents' bodies. While trying to escape, the third man is dragged by one of the creatures from below the ground. Mitch and Jack feel slightly relieved after narrowly escaping death, but the creatures continue to pursue and attack them. One even blocks their way, but Jack speeds up and runs it over. Later, both agree to head back home as they drive along the nameless road. With bloodied hands, Mitch clings to the photograph of Catherine, missing her deeply. Mitch notices the creatures along the way in the middle of nowhere but doesn't tell Jack. Then once again, they end up at the same gas station where Sutter awaits their arrival.